Clover Health Investments might be on a little bit of a downtrend right now, but in the future, this stock will likely explode. Let me explain how this could happen, what's going on currently with the stock, and a recent news article that I found that hopefully will give some insight and hope into this stock. If you haven't already, make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new, but other than that, let's get right into it. Alrighty guys, here we are with Clover Health Investments Corp at about $9.36 here just on the day, down about 3.70% on the day, unfortunately. And overall, we have been seeing a really bad downtrend, unfortunately, just over the past couple of days and even the past couple of weeks. CLOV has been just kind of descending lower and lower. But for everyone who is invested in CLOV and for everyone who is currently still holding CLOV, I really want to give you guys a reminder that, if you're sitting here waiting for a short squeeze, that's of course always a lottery ticket kind of idea or play. Nobody knows when the squeeze will happen, if it will ever happen. But what I really want to talk about today though, is the idea that Clover Health is not just a short squeeze play. You have to remember that this was and still is a growth stock. This is a stock that a lot of investors had their money in before there were even any talks of this being kind of a hyped up Wall Street bets, Reddit, meme stock, whatever you want to call it. This stock was a valid growth play before any of that. And I want people to remember that because it still, for the most part, is. You have to keep a long-term vision about Clover Health. Let's take a look here on Yahoo Finance here with this article that I found that I think gives some insight and some hope into the stock. And I think it's kind of interesting to read. Clover Health Investments is expected to grow 14% in 2021 while also expanding the potential service terrain. Let's take a little bit look further here just to look at what this means and what this article is actually about. So, Clover Health is a volatile company reaching a high of $22.15 per share in June of 2021 and then dropping to $9.72 in the last trading session. Of course, it's dropped a little bit lower than that. This article was written about a day ago, just so you are aware. This is not to say that this is a bad company, just that investors should be prepared for a possible stressful ride going forward. With that being said, it's always helpful to know the money-making capacity of a company based on past fundamentals as well as future estimates. We will look at the last earnings update released on Q1 on 17th of May 2021 and build from there. The results unfortunately do not look great, especially considering the statutory losses grew 30% to about 13% per share. Revenues of $200 million did beat expectations by about 4%, but it looks a bit of a cold comfort. Clover also released a guidance of around $820 million for 2021. The next earnings call is expected to be early August. Clover will need to keep the interest of investors until then. Interestingly, Clover has had some good news recently. In a strategy update on the 24th of June 2020 rather, Clover announced an expansion into 101 new markets, which will make Clover and Medicare's Advantage plans available in 209 countries across the 9 US states. So as you can see here, the expansion overall for Clover is still looking very good, and they're really trying to push into these new, states here. As you can see here, Clover Health potential coverage, and this is the map over all the United States. And I'm sure eventually they're going to be expanding to all, hopefully, states and even the world over. But again, this company is still very new. They still have a lot of losses that are being incurred, unfortunately, and there still needs to be a lot of expansion for this company to really kind of take off and succeed a little bit more. Let's read just a little bit more into here. As you can see here, pending approval on the map of the partial plan availability. On this 22nd of June 2021, it'll also include in 2 indices which will increase the exposure to the market. This will be in the S&P Healthcare Services Select Industry Index. Very interesting that that's being added to the index. Also very good news. And the S&P Global BMI Index, which is also an interesting index as well. And good news that it's being added to that. This news gives perspective for potential growth, but it's smart to consider how analysts see the overall picture for the future of Clover. We've aggregated the latest statutory forecast to see how analysts estimate future income for Clover Health Investments after the latest earning results. Keep in mind that there may be lag, recent news and events, but should give investors a good baseline. So this is interesting. Here's what the analyst forecast kind of look like. As you can see here, as far as overall what this looks to be, earnings, free cash flow, revenue, and then cash from opportunities still kind of down a bit. But as you can see here, we are on a upward trending curve as far as the revenue goes, which is always good. Now, what the real problem places here are, of course, in earnings, free cash flow, and cash from opportunities. But again, those seem to go into the positive. They're expected to go into a little bit of negative up to 2023 and beyond, but that is in somewhat of a positive direction. So that is a good sign. Hopefully they overshoot forecasts and estimates and do even better than what they're expected to do. And then the rest of this forecast, or rest of this article rather, rather just kind of talks about everything going on. We would highlight that Clover Health investment revenue growth is expected to slow, with the forecast of 19% annualized growth rate until the end of 2021, being well below the historical 42% growth over the last year. Just to juxtapose this against the other companies in the industry with the analyst coverage. So unfortunately, this is where the negative part comes in, right? The deeper stuff in the balance sheet that we're talking about right now, of course, with the stock is really what a lot of people, a lot of shorts specifically, are looking at and giving why they don't like the company or why they think the company is going to fail, yada, yada, yada. They have a million reasons why. But again, you have to look at the long-term picture with this. Let's look at the bottom line. Clover is a growing company which is expected to have a fair share of turbulence, obviously. This is a period of both risk and opportunity for the company and investors. The company has many upward and downward pressures alike and may prove risky on the short term. Of course. Well, that's a little mistake right there. Why did they do that? The business is estimated to grow faster than a wider industry and has a lot of room for expansion, as the market for their main product is also expected to grow. Good. You should always think about risk. Case in point, we've spotted one warning sign for Clover Health you should be aware of. This is a little warning sign, and that's the end of the article. But overall, their point is that Clover Health in the short term is of course going to be risky. It's going to be volatile, especially after this large short squeeze where it shoots up to a valuation that really doesn't make a lot of sense, unfortunately, fundamentally, and then it's going to go back down further. But, there's always a but. Let's talk about it. This is a long-term play in my mind. This is a long-term hold in my mind. This is something that I'm holding until this company makes sense and is a lot more successful. And right now, unfortunately, it's heavily shorted and it's been the target of a lot of retail interest. Now, retail interest is not a bad thing because usually that sends the stock higher. But there are some market manipulation things going on, of course, with the market. Always. There's something going on with hedge funds, with large asset management firms, with anything like that. And you also have to remember, though, that a lot of retail people, unfortunately, they don't hold. And this is why a lot of these stocks fall out of value, is because once the stock shoots up to these massive, highs that it's never been at before in a very long time, it's going to go back down because people are going to sell. And then people are going to take on more losses and they're not going to hold. Now, granted, there are plenty of people who do want to hold and see a long-term future. They see themselves holding the stock until it's reached its appropriate valuation. But unfortunately, that appropriate valuation might be a possible year, maybe even a little bit more away. But that is not, the point is not to strike fear or not to say that Clover Health is a bad company. That's not what I'm saying. I actually like Clover Health, and I personally think that it is a long-term hold in my mind. It's something that I really am looking forward to seeing the valuation in just about a year, or maybe even a little bit more. I think as they expand revenues and continue to grow cash flow, and hopefully they can bring it into a profitable business here relatively soon, I think those are all good things. And I think once it's able to do that, it can really steer itself in the right direction. Again, healthcare is a never-ending industry. This is an industry that is always going to be around. This is always something that somebody is going to be need to taken care of. And I think Clover Health capitalizing on that, especially providing all kinds of things for seniors and different types of categories like that, I think is a great thing. And I think as long as they continue to push forward and continue to innovate, I think they can do just that. Now, just to close this video out here, we're going to hop into the price action here on Thinkorswim, just a little bit of technical analysis. Here's how we traded most of the day, right? Started up shooting up into about the $9.56 category. Trying to make more highs here as we kind of bounce back and kind of try to make some kind of support line here. Unfortunately, support just did not hold, and then we saw CLOV just kind of trade lower and lower the rest of the day. RSI sitting about the 57 level, approaching the overbought level. But still remains to be seen. MACD, again, too close to call. Let's pull out just real quick here, just so we get some context here just before we go. Here was our high during the original kind of squeeze that we saw. Again, not the official squeeze, but part of it. And then we had a massive pullback, obviously, down here, and now we're down at the $9.38 level. But interesting thing to point, on the 180-day chart, which is my favorite chart for swing trades, we are sitting at 28, which is super oversold on the RSI. If we look at any other times historically when the stock has been oversold, boom, right here, we had a massive run up, boom, right here, a little bit of a run up, and then another oversold. But again, massive run up. Every time this stock has been oversold, we have seen a reverse in the trend, and it continues to go higher. A lot of people bought in today. A lot of people bought shares today. A lot of people are getting into the stock on the dip. And let me know, of course, in the comments if you guys did, and make sure to like the video. But other than that, guys, that is pretty much it for Clover Health. I hope I've earned your thumbs up today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new. Check out our WeBull link if you guys want to pick up some free stocks with WeBull. It's linked down in the description below. All you guys have to do is deposit $5. It is an amazing brokerage, and when you guys deposit $5 and sign up with our link, you guys will get up to 2 free stocks that are worth quite a bit of money, or could be worth up to quite a bit of money. So check that out down in the description below if that sounds interesting to you guys. But other than that, guys, that is all I have for you guys today. I'm Kyle with Finance Bro. Take it easy.